another exciting episode of
What the Fauna?
the Fauna. I was telling somebody about this podcast this weekend, and they're like, fauna. Who cares about plants? And I was like, no, that's flora. But no, I do the same thing where I think of fauna kind of
because it's usually combined with flora and fauna, and people just
that's it.
Yeah, because people hear flora and fauna, and then they focus on the second word. Think that's the plants.
But and they're like, because you go look at all the beautiful flora and fauna, and most of what you see are trees.
Yep,
because they're not moving fast. You're not seeing most of the flora.
And the animals are hiding because
the fauna is like
fuck off human.
Yeah. Which I learned a completely awesome new word. Didn't know it at all. And I know a lot of fuck ton of words. I know I use like shit, fuck, ass. There's a lot of words I don't use, but I know them. I know I concentrate on one certain area.
Avenue of wordings.
Yes. Anthropomorphizing. No, not anthropomorphizing. That one I knew.
Which one?
Anthropogenic.
Anthropogenic?
Yes. I did not know that word until today.
It sounds familiar. Is that just when they're...
It is the destruction of a species because of human intervention of some sort.
Yep.
So it's the catch-all word for all the fuck-ton shit we do. It could be pollution, destruction, habitats, everything.
Yep. Introduction of non-native species like cats and things.
There we go. So anthropogenic, that is the type of extinction that humans cause animals.
Actually, that's where I've heard it. That's where I've heard it before. It's been a while, but because when we were talking about the mass extinction events, this is the anthropogenic
mass extinction
right now.
The dodo. It's our fault. Might not have been directly us, but it's our fault.
We've literally killed half the species in the last few hundred years, and it's all of our faults.
A big rock did more. Dinosaurs.
No, it didn't. It did not. Actually, we are the big giant rock, the big meteor thing took tens and tens of thousands of years to do what we did in 100.
That is true. That is true.
We are at such an accelerated rate. It's not even comparable.
So everybody out there, you should feel special because guess what? Humans, we are not a species anymore. You know that. I think it was about 10 years ago. Humans got reclassified. We are not a species. We are a super species.
Oh, no, that's just a terminology when discussing effects of things. There's that also happens.
It's a classification.
It's a classification. We're still a species. It doesn't make us stop being a species.
Makes us better. I don't. It's not better than a species. I would say it sounds like we should be cooler than just a species.
Yeah.
But really, super species just means you're really fucking big dicks. You're not that you have a big dick, but that your species is such giant jackasses that you're destroying everything.
I mean. It also relates to a certain amount of organization too. So we just work together on such a level that we are now a species as together. Does that make sense?
It does. It's like kind of like if you take a colony of ants working toward one goal, but mutate it, abstract it, and giant.
Well, actually, that's the example I was about to give because they're considered a superorganism or a super species. So basically, ant colonies, because of their eusocial, are sometimes classified in that respect because of the amount of organization that they do and the amount that they affect the world around them to.
Yes,
alter it.
To achieve their end goal, which humans, our end goal is.
Our end goal is to make more humans. Same as everything else, honestly.
The same as everything else. We're just doing it.
Consume and breed.
A different kind of way.
Fuck it up.
Yeah. Fuck this, fuck that, fuck that.
I mean, of course, there's this whole thing kind of. I'm going to do a segue into our animal, actually.
So, yes, that would be fantastic.
One of our things is so that we don't fuck it all up is just doing simple things. Obviously, we need to focus on the bigger things like using less power and things of that nature. Everybody should be switching over, but also there is just reutilizing the material that we have, such as recycling and things of that nature. Which our animal today is the
king
savior to the world, is one of the saviors
oh my
to the
god
world.
totally that was a
Recycling
phenomenal segue. This is
yeah.
the most amazing, like, and not just okay. So we're gonna do Whitney. It is Whitney's week. So you want to say what we're gonna do?
We're gonna do turkey vultures, but we might dip into some other vultures. But mostly we're gonna do turkey vultures, who are the biggest. What do you call it? Not decomposer. They're scavengers. So they're recycling all the things that other things don't want, eating it, and then also preventing disease.
Exactly, which it's not just like, oh, I don't have that unsightly roadkill that I skipped. It's more than that. It's preventing so many diseases too, because damn, are they insanely impressive.
They eat
very impressive.
They can eat literally horrible stuff. I remember I remember one time I worked at the wildlife care clinic at Iowa State, and I came in and the janitor had accidentally unplugged the deep freeze with all the like we would feed chicks, rats, mice of all of various types of different birds, and they unplugged it so it all rotted overnight. And
turkey vultures.
The thing is, we had 2 turkey vultures that were free roaming in the clinic. Like they
they're like sitting on the freezer being like, lunch, let's go.
I had to help clean
we know you got
freezer. I had to help clean out that freezer, which was disgusting, because the worst part was I was like, luckily it ended up more on the next shift because they unplugged it. Then somebody had the genius idea of just plugging it back in, it'll be fine. Everything had already rotted, but now it was,
I know, but at least it would be cold so you could get it out. Like
no, what it had done is all the corpses congealed into one giant cube.
So you have to chip out. Okay, didn't think about that. I was kind of thinking of individual bags, but no, one
they
giant
individual bags, but it doesn't matter because it all like refroze and there's just enough moisture between the bags to create a block of ice. So basically, everything had rotted and then congealed into one giant block, and then so we had to like let it thaw
this is kind of a perfect beginning for a turkey vulture too. Like you just made their perfect meal.
They were going fucking insane. They were pecking at us. I'm like, let me clean the thing. They're like, no, I want it, whatever it is.
Give it to me.
When you're trying to clean a freezer of the most vile smelling rotten shit of dead corpses, while at the same time turkey vultures are pecking at you to get by you
to get to it. Okay. Well, but okay. So turkey vultures, they're nice though. There has been zero in human history, zero attacks on humans in the wild.
As far as that's concerned, they don't. I mean, why would they give a crap about anything living? They eat dead things.
I know, but a lot of like, if we take into effect cartoons and things, you get these turkey vultures in general. We'll just go through all the vultures because I really don't think that like even Disney like really made it look like this is definitely a turkey vulture. Make sure those feathers look like this. Okay, so they usually just portray vulture, bald head, blah blah blah.
Vulture, condor.
But they usually have them like tracking somebody down, like waiting, like the second they fall asleep, they're gonna peck at them. No, they don't. They
don't go out.
Turkey vultures specifically, most vultures, turkey vultures specifically want it dead.
Yeah.
They want zero resistance.
Yeah, and also they thrive. They love the smell of dead things, so they want it already rotten.
I heard that their perfect window is a day to 3 days. After that, they're about like, it is getting a little ripe.
It's getting a little too ripe, and also just usually by then the meat's there's not as much nutrients in there anymore anyway, because the bacteria has
really
gone to town on it. But
so the turkey vultures have a very large habitat, or not habitat, I should say, a very large range.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Turkey vultures and the black vultures are more limited. Turkey vultures, I'm trying to remember the third in their group, but those guys, they are pretty much all across North and South America. The only exceptions are the extremely high spot. Literally, you look at it. If you looked at their range, you could go, oh, there's a mountain range there and a mountain range there. And that's like where they're not.
Yeah. And they don't like it. Like, they'll come as far as like Montana and stuff in the summer. They'll go even up into Canada in the summer.
Yeah.
But once it starts to get cold, they do. It's like a pseudo migration. They go near where it's just a little bit
warmer. Yep. They basically have two places, far north and far south, that are only breeding zones, which basically just means, like you said,
spring and summer. When it's a little bit warmer. But otherwise, they're around like all over the place all the time. But before we jump too far in, it's good. This, I think, is a good time when we're talking about the specific species to talk about. I learned them today classified as Old World versus New World vultures.
Yes.
There is a large difference. So Old World is considered Europe, Asia, Africa. Those are Old World vultures. Then there's
of Eurocentricity.
Yes. Exactly. And then New World vultures are considered like the Americas.
Yes.
Now they are they share a common ancestor, but way long ago.
Not really.
Yeah,
they share a common ancestor like birds share a common ancestor.
Yes. Exactly. So everybody who did not listen to episode 5, I think it was 5, Convergent Evolution, go back.
Convergent Evolution.
Yeah,
these guys are a fantastic example of it.
Exactly. They look so similar. They look like they're like cousins. Like they have a same, like their
parents. And for a long time they were classified that way, but we've discovered that is not the case at all. So the Old World, basically the vultures and Old World, what's the other word for it?
They have Old World ones. They're actual buzzards. America, we do not.
No. Buzzard also, though, you can't use buzzard, but this is why we have scientific names, because a buzzard also counts. It doesn't just count these types of birds, but in Europe, a buzzard is also a type of falcon.
Yeah, exactly.
So
falcon or a hawk, too.
Falcons that also fall under
in America, we use the word buzzard, but it's more of a colloquial term. It's not actually. They're not vultures. New World vultures are not buzzards.
Right. Generally, it's used for pest meat-eating birds or birds that are eating dead things.
Yeah. So, like I said, we got totally different. So don't confuse what we're talking about today. Today we'll talk about specifically the turkey vulture, but in general, we'll probably go into a lot of the New World vulture family. This is not Old World vultures. There's a lot of differences. But
and a ton, like
a lot of similarities too.
The offshoots, because the ones here in North America, they're the New World ones. They're basically right now. It's still thought predominantly that they came from where they separated was where storks are.
Yes.
So they're more closely related to a stork than they are the Old World
vultures.
And then the Old World vultures are actually come from falconiforms, so they're basically more closely related to hawks, eagles, things of that nature, is the current mindset. But they've convergently evolved. They basically both decided to eat dead things, so they literally have almost identical adaptations. And
the bald head, because
take them for being related. Yeah,
because they have the big bald heads. Turkey vultures, old and new, they do, but turkey vultures, they're, if you want to picture one in your mind, think about kind of like the Marvel character, what is his name with the red face? Vulture, that one too, smart ass. Red Death, actually, Red Death a lot, okay? Their heads are red. They also have no septum in their nose.
Right, and there's a reason for that.
There is. We'll go into it, but so like Red Death doesn't really have a nose. You can see both his nostrils. Imagine if those just like if he turned to the side and you just saw through him. That's
not Red Death.
Not Red Death. Oh,
Red Skull.
Red Skull. Shit.
Yes.
Of course it's Red Skull. That's the obvious name.
I was like, Red Death, that's not right.
Yeah, so Red Skull. So this is kind of like Red Skull, but then he wears all, he's all black from there down. The shoulders and everything are all dark. Interestingly enough, their legs usually appear kind of a whitish color, though.
Yes, that is for thermoregulation.
It is. There's a term for it too. It's thermoregulation. Their legs are white for thermoregulation because of urohydrolysis.
Yeah, a lot of birds do this. A ton of birds do this. Where basically they just piss shit on themselves.
They do to cool themselves down. They're like, oh, it's a particularly hot day.
It dries up.
I'm going to piss on my legs and
perfect.
Cool,
they have enough extra blood flow through there.
So that's the uric acid that makes it color.
And they have some protection on their skin because what most people don't realize is that birds have scales.
Mm-hmm.
Like the what you see on their feet is actually scales, just like reptile scales, which is further evidence that they are closely related to them.
Closely related.
You sometimes do see some scales on other birds around the beak area, but mainly it's that feet.
I want to say around the eyes. I think I've seen.
Yeah, around the eyes sometimes too. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So on a particularly hot day, or I read in one source, only one source gave this information, is since they are eating dead things, they're usually maggots and things. If there's a particularly large amount of maggots, they will piss on their legs to wash the maggots off their own legs because they are clean and fastidious creatures and don't want maggots on them.
I'm not so sure about that one. But
I don't know. I read it only in one spot, and I was like, all right, why not? Like,
they pretty much just shit whatever they want to fucking shit. I've worked with these guys quite a bit. Actually, yeah, I've worked with these guys a long time. I worked with them at the zoo.
Has any of them tried to have sex with you? Oh, I think
no.
Oh,
I have been plenty attacked. I did have one who was my buddy at the care clinic.
Did he attack you over a woman?
What was that?
Did he attack you over a woman?
No, actually.
Did you? Because actually, technically, so for those who've been here for a while, I keep track of the animals that Whitney has had to wrestle while sexually aroused.
I wasn't sexually. Hold it. Let's rephrase that.
This is where commas are very important.
Was trying to mate with me.
Not necessarily. One of the kangaroos you had to wrestle, it was trying to mate with someone else, and you were trying to stop it.
No, I wasn't trying to stop it. I was just
slow it down. What? Like it was trying to.
No, in that case, no. We were picking up a female that needed to have a medical thing done.
No, I thought this was the female caretaker that it had become very attached to and tried to grab her and have sex with her.
Sorry, that was during the show. That was also before a live audience of 100 people in a stadium. In both cases, you've had a kangaroo that was trying to mate its owner, the owner of the facility.
That's why you do not bring baby animals home and print with them, because they will try and have sex with you eventually. Because
the interaction I generally had with Turkey Vultures was
I love this one. The interaction I generally have.
What was that?
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we had an understanding. Basically, actually, most Turkey Vultures that I've worked with, they get really excited about making things, like interacting with things and getting things to react. So I would react, maliciously, yes. They are playful in the same way that the dark fae are playful with you.
Everybody loves an anti-hero. Come on, so Megamind. Megamind was playful, just in a little bit of a odd way.
We get new volunteer staff, and they would come in, and he would test them. And he'd go and try to nip their ankles. And also, you always wore
big boots
and pants. Otherwise, he was going for that flesh because he wanted you to jump and go. He wasn't biting you to eat you. He wanted you to react. And then he loved making people freaked out. And honestly, every vulture that I've ever worked with has been like this. If you stand your ground to them, then they find you boring. And then they leave you alone. Yeah, but if you show any sign of I am freaked out, they're like, plaything. So I saw one time he was just hopping around because these birds they were at they're considered education birds because they couldn't fly. They had a wing injury at some point that couldn't allow them to be released. So he couldn't
Animal
fly,
ambassadors.
hop around. Yeah, animal ambassador. Yeah. So he would hop around and just start pecking at people's ankles. And if you reacted, he would just have the most fun and just chase that person all over.
That's really interesting for an animal that is not technically a predator.
No, but they are very social.
They are very social with each other too.
I find that this type of behavior comes a lot with what I call, it's a term I'm not sure if somebody else has a similar term. I should look it up sometime, but I call it like a hypersocial species. So a hypersocial. So I also find it with dogs too. Like I describe that when I'm working with things like husky. Huskies were bred to work with packs, like most.
Oh yeah, like work as a group.
Huge groups, and you see, like the Iditarod, you might have 20 to 50 dogs there, but they'll have a huge facility back home where there might be hundreds of dogs because they always have to have that many healthy, ready to go, and they're caring for them throughout their entire life. So these dogs are in like what I call a hyper social environment because there's just so many. They're dealing with so many.
Always with each other. Okay.
Vultures do that big mass hangout thing.
They call it a cauldron, apparently.
A cauldron, or there was every day in Georgia I would go by. They have black vultures there, which are a little smaller, and they're easy to ID because they have like a white spot on the underside of their wings.
Okay, I was gonna ask because it's like they're called black vultures and they look really similar, but
they generally have a black head, which also you have to watch out because a young turkey vulture has a black head too. So, but the
black vultures are the ones that cattle ranchers and stuff have complained about because they will go for small or weakened animals. Apparently they will. The turkey vulture will not go for something alive. A black vulture, they're considering
maybe it. I highly suspect on like cattle rancher complaints like that because there's a lot of species they've claimed that to, and then like no evidence is ever found.
Yeah, you find out later it's like no, but a dingo did eat the baby.
The dingo did eat the baby. But
look that one up.
There's so many times like I'm telling stories about a species, how it was almost brought to extinction because the ranchers claimed it did a thing, and then we find out that it doesn't even have the jaw strength to like even attempt what it was doing. Like,
or it's so timid, it's like
no. But so I take that with a grain of salt because those guys. I mean, I worked with them in Georgia. I've never seen them. They have a very similar behavior pattern to the turkey vulture, and they're actually
okay. But they've got a white spot, so you can kind of.
You can tell when they're flying above. You got the white spot on the underside of the wing.
Okay, well, because they will go together. Like,
they're not particular.
Yeah, they'll hang out together. In fact, one thing I was reading. So we talked about their sense of smell. Mm-hmm. Last bird we did was.
I want to talk about the group though.
Yeah, no, please.
When I was in Georgia, there was this abandoned house that I would drive by. 300 to 500 black vultures were there every day, just out sunning themselves. Just like I'm just like that is just. I should have gotten a. Well, I didn't have a good phone or cameras at the time. I wish I had a picture of it because it was like this is just right out of a horror movie. Just like a decrepit home and just
it looks like it'd be horror, but not really, because like they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're fine.
Like, to be honest, a lot of the birds I read about that people are like, oh, they're so pretty, songbirds and shit. No, fuck those guys. I'd much rather hang out with a vulture because I think it won't be trying to peck out my eyes while I'm
and also,
just asleep.
The turkey vulture is they're just really, I'm entertained by them. They have such personalities, I guess is the way I want to say it. That they have really just strong personalities that are just very entertaining to be around,
and I think they're cute too walking, and I can imagine so they don't have like raptor claws. Their feet are more structured like a chicken, so they can't actually walk. Like a lot of hawks and stuff can't walk. They have to like kind of hop bounce.
Yeah,
these guys don't. These guys can actually walk, And that's why they give him that kind of that shoulders up, kind of grumpy
kind of
man
thing.
walk, like meh, 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 meh. And it's adorable. It looks like a grumpy old man in a trench
Especially
coat.
when it's chasing the maintenance guy or the new guy that's in the enclosure.
Like,
I'm gonna get you.
I mean, but they're kind of big because I was reading they can range anywhere from 1 to 5 pounds.
Yeah, and they have like a wingspan of about 6 feet.
That's big.
Which
They'll
is
kick
pretty
my
big.
ass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they're fairly conservative flyers. And I'm sure Whitney will go into like what I mean by conservative flyers.
They're
don't
basically what we call soarers or gliders. They basically just kind of go by the thermals that are in the air that kind of like a big updraft will pick them up, and they can sense them pretty good. They just kind of hover around. They don't really, because they don't have to chase anything. Their food doesn't go anywhere.
So that was where I was going before. Was when we talked about owls, they have the largest optical like little tubes, eyeballs, but they're tubes of any species of bird.
When compared to the size of their head, yes.
Yes. These guys have the largest olfactory bulb, which is part of the brain of any bird. A lot of birds not necessarily can't smell, but they really don't have a use for it. So they really don't have a very...
Exactly. Yeah. I always talk about that all the time. There is a lot of misconception that they can't smell at all. But at the same time, there's people like the myth that if you pick up a baby bird, it'll smell like you and the mother will reject it. The mother can't smell that well. There are some studies though with the other birds that
usually if you pick up a baby bird that's like down outside of the nest and you put it back up in the nest, the reason you find it again is because the mom has probably kicked it out.
No, that's not necessarily.
Oh, really? That's what I thought it was.
It could be, can be that, but also there's a thing. Every single bird will, almost all of them will spend some time on the ground. If you see it like baby, then yeah, it might have gotten kicked out. Like that one that I ended up taking care of that
turned out to fool you.
Yeah, it turned out to be a nest parasite, which it was kicked out. But it could, if it's later stage, if they've got a lot of feathers, then it could also just be that they're learning to fly.
Yeah.
Birds don't learn to fly on the first try, just like little children don't learn to walk on the first try so often. And they usually just take care of them right there. But one thing that other birds, like they do have their sense of smell focused more on pheromones for other birds. So they might be able to pick up the pheromones, but they don't devote that much to smell outside of like mating and things like that. Whereas the turkey vulture can smell something from miles away.
That's what they're doing with they're gliding on these thermals. They are hunting. What they are is they're trying to pick up. Okay, so when an animal dies and starts to decay, the specific gas is called ethyl mercaptan. Yeah. That's the smell of rotting meat. It's a juicy,
sweet kind of
rotting meat. There's really, you know it. Even if you have never smelled it, when you do, you will know it. So humans, actually, we're pretty good at picking up ethyl mercaptan too. We can pick up 2 parts per billion molecules.
Right.
However, a turkey vulture can pick up 1 molecule per trillion molecules.
Yeah, so whole exponential level.
Like a whole new level. So they're up there gliding and chilling out, looking for that one little particle of ethyl mercaptan to say this way to food.
Yep.
And a lot of other species who don't have as good a sense of smell as them, the turkey vultures, from what I read, had the number 1.
Yes.
So that's why sometimes like condors and the black vultures will hang out with the turkey vultures, because the turkey vultures will be like, they all start migrating one way and they're like, hey, where are you guys going? Nowhere.
And
you're going to food, aren't you? And they just follow.
And that's also what happens with bald eagles. Like bald eagles are technically scavengers. And everybody was like, well, maybe they have a sense of smell. Turns out they don't. All they do is, and that's why they're big, is because they get there and then they go, back the fuck off. It's my corpse.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost though, with at least with these types of vultures and stuff, what's been observed in the wild is almost a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
because I guess I didn't know this. Scavenger type animals like this or birds like this there's 3 different classifications of them. There are, let me grab my notes, make sure I don't get it wrong. The gulpers, the rippers, and the scrappers.
Yes.
So turkey vultures are the scrappers. They're looking for the little scraps left behind, little pieces, but they need a big gulper like a condor to come and break the bones, tear the skin, and really just open up this carcass to make it more accessible for them. Yeah, the gulpers, yeah, they're the ones that go up the butt.
Well,
and just start gulping everything.
Technically, what they do is they go through any opening they find, and if there's no lacerations from another predator, then they go up the butt or in the eye socket.
Yeah, they got to go in somewhere squishy. But the gulpers come along and rip new openings. So do like the rippers. The rippers. So it usually kind of goes with a fresh kill. If all these birds are around, it'll go the gulpers first because they're the biggest and the breakiest. Then it'll go the rippers. They're a little bit smaller. The king vultures fit into that category. They like to eat tendons and bone and stuff. So they're ripping.
Which the king vulture, that's actually in. So out of the, I want to say the Carthidae, which is where turkey vultures and New World vultures are. There's 2 big offshoots, and I want to say it's black vultures, turkey vultures, maybe the lesser yellow. I'll have to double check that. And then I can't remember either. Then you got like the king vultures and a couple others that are in the other group, and they look very different. But those are the 2 groups that are related because they're still in that New World thing.
Yeah. But, so a lot of times the turkey vultures are not like upset about like they're like, no, come here, rip it open, tear it open. I don't have the strength in my claws and everything to like shred the thick skin of like a deer. They can't do it. So these other birds start it and get their
fill. Not necessarily just birds. It can. I mean, those terms are used for like all the scavengers, basically.
Okay.
Like, anything that comes up that does those things, as long as but yeah, usually by a large enough corpse, usually everyone's just kind of has their own specialty, kind of thing. Which digging into that corpse, of course, a lot of these scavengers also are bald-headed. For the vultures, so that way they don't get so much gunk on them.
Yes.
And also makes it easier to go in because think about feathers, they kind of like if you went backwards on them, there's
kind of like a right and a wrong way to push feathers. So if you go the wrong way,
but yeah, feathers especially. So basically, they just have that bald head, so it doesn't like get stuck or anything like that.
And they're very fastidious. They're very clean. They don't want all that gunk on them.
Yeah, and that big septum also, like, it goes all the way through, or the big hole in their nose. It goes all the way through so that they can actually breathe easier. So that way it doesn't clog up.
So there is like a front part of it on the beak. There's a front piece of bone, and that kind of keeps it from coming like right directly in, but it will come in through the sides. And their talons are specifically like helpfully shaped so they can really pick their nose well because something's going to get in there. So their talons, they'll actually, they can put like, and imagine being able to put a toe through your nose.
They are
in one side, out the other. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like all those people who you think you love piercings, you've got nothing on it.
Nothing on it. Well, they just have it naturally.
They have it naturally. I'm gonna start. You know, I'm always talking about. I'm gonna do an Etsy store. Yeah. Decorative turkey vulture septum rings. Yeah. Most boss.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, that one too.
I was just thinking of now I just lost my thought. Whatever it was. It's gone now to the ether.
Not to come back. So so they'll go find a carcass and the beautiful thing is everything dies, whether it's killed or dies naturally. Everything dies, and you really do need somebody to help clean this mess up.
Yeah, because otherwise it would accumulate, and everything would just end up getting sick because the bacteria that consumes the dead things. Also, if it gets on us too much, then it becomes like flesh-eating bacteria.
Like when they talk about septic.
Yeah,
you'll get that. So and
well, septic.
You're right. That's slightly different. That's more
like
the
in
lack
the
of removal of
everything are going down.
toxins.
But like if that bacteria that's eating the flesh, think of it, it's just eating flesh, and if it starts over accumulating, it's going to start eating everything's flesh. And eventually make everything septic. But
so, I mean, turkey vultures are great. Here's a small list of things that turkey vultures can eat with no reaction to. They're fine. Number 1, tuberculosis. A corpse that has tuberculosis, doesn't bother them. Eat it. Number 2, rabies. If there's a rabid animal that dies from it, you definitely want a vulture, because they'll eat it. Their digestive acids are so high, they'll kill the rabies bacteria, thus not infecting any more creatures. And number 1 on this list, I thought was great. They can eat anthrax.
Technically, they can. I mean, really, we can put any virus in here because they can literally eat any virus or bacteria, and the reason is their stomach,
and their lower intestine.
But just
we'll talk about their stomach
tract. Basically the acidic levels of everything.
They dissolve bacteria with their digestive juices. Humans do too.
Viruses with their digestive juices.
That's denaturing them, though.
Or sorry, denaturing. Technically, that is denaturing. Yeah, because it's just
my big brain.
It's just protein and DNA.
Well, humans, we do this too. We digest a lot of bacteria and we kill a lot of stuff with our stomach acid, but nowhere near to the level these guys have. These guys are like.
Did you catch where their pH level is in their stomach?
I did not. I'm pretty sure it's still a combination of hydrochloric acid and
Basically, it's mostly hydrochloric acid. Yes.
Okay.
But
what's the pH?
It usually hovers somewhere between 0 and 1.
Wow! I think humans are 3.
Yeah, humans are 3. I think battery acid is 2.
Yeah. So their digestive juices just break this stuff down. Then in their lower intestines, they have phosphobacteria.
Yeah.
And Clostridia.
Okay, so something that grows in their colon.
Yeah, a couple bacteria that further break shit down. That's like, oh, you made it past the stomach. Well, fuck you. I got you now, bitch. Welcome to my arena.
To break down all those viruses and the
and they're using them for energy too.
Yeah, I mean, once you digest it, it's energy now.
Yeah, doesn't matter where it came from. And then after it's gone through and pissed and shit out onto their legs to help them keep cool. La 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 la. Kind of like an old Victorian ladies, isn't it? Didn't they wear diapers because their dresses were so complicated they couldn't go to the bathroom? It's probably a myth.
That would actually make sense. That would honestly
someone will let me know. But it's similar to that. Because they got pretty little legs. So they're destroying all of this incredibly harmful bacteria from the rest of the environment. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Removing, rabies and anthrax and all that stuff. It actually
and more things that we don't even know about.
Exactly.
The next breakout could be stopped because of these guys.
Which brings me to another creator. So I'm gonna plug a creator. There's a podcast I found called The Science of Bird by Ivan Phillipson.
Okay.
He does a podcast only about birds and different bird-related stuff. It's called The Science of Birds. It's really fascinating, really good. This was his idea. I wish I could claim it, but we all love and we're all waiting for and hoping for, some of us, the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Who will protect us from the zombie apocalypse? Vultures. Vultures will protect us. What do they got to fear? Nothing. They're going to smell that ethyl mercaptan.
They're going to go crazy because of the smell. Yeah, yeah.
And I bet if it's a bacteria or virus, it's probably going to be bacterial, to be honest. What would cause a zombie apocalypse? Probably a bacteria.
No, I'm voting fungal.
Oh, yeah, maybe fungal.
Because literally we actually have some funguses that already do that. So I'm going with the fungal thing.
In the animal kingdom, yeah. But they're the secret zombie apocalypse weapon. I bet their digestive tracts can break it down. They'll love it. You'll be able to see zombies coming miles away because,
Well, actually, I am in the classified place that is the most safe place to be during the zombie apocalypse.
Kansas?
Yes. Especially Southwest Kansas, because it's so flat you can literally see them for miles coming at you.
I
And
kind
the
of like
population's so low that it doesn't matter.
World War Z though. Move north.
Well,
I
World War Z.
mean, frozen flesh can't move, can't bite you. It's frozen.
It's frozen. That's true. That's true. No circulatory. That would make sense.
You know, that was also once again not my own idea.
Right.
God, I wish I were
Although you're
funnier.
fucked with vampires because during the winter months.
30 Days of Night. Yes, you are fucked with vampires. You know, we are, by the way, for all of our wonderful fans out there, we are going to do some cryptid stuff.
Okay.
My version of the word cryptid and Whitney's version, because my version of cryptid is, of course, like the werewolf, the skinwalker, vampires. As to where Whitney's definition of cryptid is,
I don't know where you're going with this.
you had a definition that was like it was an animal that actually existed. As to where I'm like going like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster. Your idea, you said something about cryptids there's a classification of animals that are cryptids that do exist. Just little is known about them. Am I getting this totally wrong?
Yeah, no, it's in the same idea, except I just am like like for me, a cryptid is something that actually would be very high probable that it would exist, such as but right now we only have like
swamp apes,
native stories in the regions talking about various species. I was actually thinking about the tree alligator. Which I can't remember the exact regions, but basically the tree alligator to me sounded a lot like
sounds like a Komodo dragon, like
Komodo
a young
dragon,
one.
Because Komodo only maybe there was a species that, or some giant monitor lizard that basically is more arboreal, or at least some part of its life. Maybe it just hides up there at night. Who knows?
Yeah.
But which fit the idea. So like, yeah, mine's.
Oh yeah. So we're probably going to do we'll do a cryptid episode probably, and we'll probably talk about the different, mythos behind vampires, because you have to kind of accept, like zombies, are they fast and able to learn, or are they slow and shambling? There's different strategies, I would say, survival strategies, depending on which one you're going up against.
I'm going to get once again. I think I already promoted this. Well, I talk about this book a lot. It's called Blind Sight.
Yes, you did.
The vampire one. And it's written by a biologist, which is probably why I really like it. But he takes a biologist look on vampires and why they exist and how they exist in his world. And it's like,
hey, I plugged somebody that I thought was amazing, and you go Blindside. And yeah, totally. Go out, read these authors, look for these people, because they love the same nerdy stuff we do.
Yeah, let me double check the
but yeah, so yeah, various mythos behind it, because as we're finding out, because like last episode, we talked about polar bears, and we talked about how the Inuit native people have been saying for hundreds of years that polar bears will pick up a big chunk of ice and lob it at a walrus to kill him, knock him out so they can eat it. And us highly intelligent, wise Westerners are like, no, they wouldn't be doing that. That would be qualified as tool usage. Their brain is much too small. Oh, fuck. Now we see them doing it.
Yep.
So, there's a lot to those stories that we don't know about. We don't know. So, we'll go into them a couple times. Yeah. But back to the turkey vulture. Yeah. And they're called turkey vultures because somebody thought it looked like a turkey. Not related to a turkey, nothing like that. Just red head.
They have bald heads for different reasons.
People just like, they look like a turkey. Yep. Okay.
Not at all related.
So what were the other awesome things that I learned?
We covered most of the things that I wanted.
Impressed.
Which was that?
I've been pretty impressed learning about them. Just about, how playful they are, how social they are.
As I said,
they're always hanging out together.
Yeah, they're actually. So at my last facility, we had two that we had in a aviary, and they were kind of off on their own, because they were supposed to get a new aviary, but anyway, They're in a back enclosure, and the other turkey vultures in the area would always like roost in the trees next to them. So
Oh, so
like
they
they would
wouldn't
be
be
in the top of
lonely.
like when the like they made it part of their day to
Mm-hmm.
hang out with these two that were in our cages. And
Aw.
those would always like ours would always be in their top corner as close as they could to the rest of the cauldron, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's so
yeah,
sweet.
it was one of the things I enjoyed seeing because I'm like, oh, good, you get some socialization.
From kind of like your own kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah. And that's so awesome of the wild ones to be like, hey, how's it going?
what's going on? We're just gonna hang out here since you guys are here. All right. Okay,
Yeah.
now we're gonna go look for food on our way.
Yeah. So they're another species that we think are monogamous, mating for several seasons together.
Okay, I've never heard that on them. Okay,
They take care of the babies together. They usually have like only like this is the thing is they have a very low birth rate, like
right,
one chick at a time. And it can take up to, depending on the vulture, a year to 2 years of taking care of this little fledgling until he's completely okay to be on his own. Um, so they usually only have one chick every other year just because they're putting so much energy into this one baby.
right.
Um, and what can you do? What can you do to save our turkey vultures? They're not endangered. They're doing okay. But these are the guys that our pest control are really the ones who we need to stop using the chemicals. We need to stop using lead bird shot, things like that.
Because it all goes up the food chain. And
Exactly. It goes in
things that you can
and
eat.
yeah. I mean, these guys don't have a ton of predators, other large birds.
Right.
Sometimes the babies, if they're in a nest, sometimes raccoons and things
Yep.
will grab one. You know, can't blame them. It's right there. It's
Free
soft.
food
It's
right there.
fluffy. Yeah, it's for food. Um, but yeah, don't confuse it. They're not raiding off with your cat. They're
No.
never swooping down for your little wiener dog. That is
Nope.
not what these guys do at all. In fact, they're gonna go and clean up that squirrel who died, so that it doesn't transfer any diseases to your cat or to your
Right.
dog. So you really do actually like them and want them around. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you want to attract them specifically. You know, they say that in America, was it 20% of our meat spoils before we eat it? I don't know.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, you know, make yourself a little vulture. You know, hang some in a tree for a vulture. I don't know. My mom feeds hummingbirds and shit, and those
right.
goes by comparison. Everyone, we will do hummingbirds. They are mean little bastards.
They can be.
They are vicious. By comparison, a vulture that you see as this hulking mean thing is a sweet puppy dog compared to a hummingbird. So, you want to be God, you want to be like punk, fight the system, go against society, start feeding your turkey vultures, screw the fucking hummingbirds. Then maybe that'll be my description for this episode. Fuck the hummingbirds.
Fuck the hummingbirds.
Feed a turkey vulture. You know, because they're happy. They're kind of they're happy, social. They're good guys.
Happy so. I mean, I will say this. I will always miss working with that species because they are just so entertaining and
well, you say that, I say playful, you say like mischievous, like impish.
Yeah, I mean it's just mischievous play. They're not out to like completely injured. Like they weren't. Yeah, it would hurt, but they weren't. They were going after the reaction. They weren't like actually trying to lacerate my Achilles tendon or something. They were just like, he danced. He danced. We got him to dance.
And also, not to my knowledge, not could I find any reference to using vultures as penile enhancement.
Oh, no penile. Okay, that's one off the list.
Yeah, another one off the list. In fact, several of indigenous people of the Americas consider vultures peaceful, very calming birds. They're somewhat revered. Maybe I'm not sure I'd go revered. But they are, yeah. I
Sure.
mean, they're beautiful in flight. They're using, like we talked about, those thermal vent or thermal updrafts. They're just
Right.
kind of chilling and cruising out there, kind of like you remember Finding Nemo with
Yeah.
the sea turtles. Hey, dude, what's up,
Yeah,
man?
that's more how I view them.
Yeah, they're pretty chill.
Just like,
They're
whatever.
like,
What you doing
wait,
over
did
there?
you smell that? Did you smell? Oh, wrong mercaptan.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
methyl mercaptan. God damn it, someone farted. I want the.
That when he farted. Yeah.
Is that the rotting? No.
No.
Dang it. Yeah. So
anyway.
pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's about it for these guys.
One more fun fact I found. Okay, so lifespan was surprisingly high, I thought, especially for a bird.
I think a lot of people would be surprised about
What
birds.
this is what I found online. So please take this for what it is. There was the oldest wild turkey vulture. We're talking tagged at a young age. I think they tagged it, estimated it was probably a couple years old. 24 years old.
Yep.
And 5 months. So normally we're not living that long in the wild. Some of normally, I guess their lifespan's about 15, 20 years in the wild. Yep. The oldest one in captivity, however, I'm assuming it died because they gave its age as like the oldest one that had lived 48 years.
That's as I'll say. Usually, it's pretty easy to get them to be 30 plus years. Like that's the thing. People don't think birds live that long. In the wild, no, because of predators and things like that. But usually they live a long time. Like, what was it? I was talking with one keeper one time, and they're like, "Yeah, technically, we don't actually know how long flamingos live, for example."
Yeah, we talked about that. Like flamingos, everybody talks about we don't know how long sharks live or alligators, blah blah blah. Or but flamingos, I don't know. For some reason, I thought we should know.
We got a ballpark. It's around 80 years is what we think their general lifespan is. But
yeah, so there is a vulture that's older than me, Lord Richard. That was his name, Lord Richard.
Lord Richard
out in California.
And eagles can live that long too. So like a lot of those birds of that size just live a lot longer than people think. So as usual, if you decide to get a bird as a pet, any of them,
you're in for a lifetime.
To be a very long commitment.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think about, they don't reach sexual maturity till they're 6 or 7 years old. Then they're only having one offspring every other year.
Which is why the California condor situation, which is, I believe, is on the I'm trying to remember how they relate.
They're still heavily endangered. I think.
Yes, they're still very endangered. They're doing better now, but it took forever because they don't
reproduce a lot. There's one condor. It was a South American condor that was brought back from the brink of extinction. There were 24 condors found, captured, and now they were breeding them and they put them back in their wild. There are over 500, but still that's not a really great number.
No.
But yeah, so they're beautiful to watch.
Right now, yeah. And
big birds.
Usually, honestly, the turkey vultures, they're not really considered a threat, but basically they move in where those other guys leave, except for those high regions. Like, that's one of the reasons.
Cold. It gets too cold for their naked head.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, do you think Red Skull gets cold?
Oh, yeah.
Why doesn't he wear a parka?
There's so many winter pictures of him.
Right, because he's kind of that.
He's got the super soldier serum. He's got the Captain America powers.
But still, I think really someone should get him a babushka.
A babushka.
I would buy Red Skull a babushka.
But he's German, so I'm not sure if he's. And he's a really bad German. He's like the
Germans must have warm hats. I don't know if they have some ethnic warm hat.
Oh yeah, Northern Germany gets pretty cold.
I know, but Canadians have the toque and stuff. There's some that have a specifically ethnic hat that goes along.
Now I'm thinking of actually movies where I see him wearing stuff. Like, what do they have him?
I think mostly they have parkas. That
parkas,
fuzzy. Dang.
But they got to keep the head exposed because that's like the determining
That's how
factor.
you know
Like
who
how
he
you know who
is.
you're looking at. Like you put a hat on, it's like, wait, which one is he? Oh, okay, fuck.
So yeah, so the turkey vulture, redheaded, not gory or anything. It's just it's actually them trying to keep clean. They spend a lot of time
Yep.
preening, getting all of the dead flesh out of them, or for all their feathers and everything.
And then also
That-
you see them like thermoregulating with the. I
Their
love
wings
watching them
out.
just sunbathe because they just put
It
their
is pretty
wings out and just, and then they'll like puff their feathers out to get some vitamin D in because they can get.
And
some
then they
of the
go, "Oh
feathers
shit, I'm too hot. Would you piss on my legs? I'm out of
Now we
piss."
got a shit on my legs. Now I'm too warm. Yeah.
Do they shit on each other's legs? Is that like never mind. That's a different channel.
Oh,
That's
I don't
not
know
this
if they
channel.
have that kink.
Well, we talked about them being social and them liking each other. Like, would they share
Would they shit on
cloacal
each other?
juice?
I'm hot. Will you shit on my leg? Can you shit on my leg, please?
That's a level of intimacy that
A little
only
warm. A little warm.
turkey vultures keep your secrets. Keep us humans wondering.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell us how you love. You choose how and who you love. Don't let anyone tell you it's wrong.
And on that note, I think we're coming to the end. We've delved as far as we can.
Oh, I'm sure we can go farther. But yeah, so those are the top things, highlights about the turkey vultures. If you're a turkey vulture expert, please share more with us. We love hearing from people. You know, yeah. I wonder if there was, how there was the falcon fucking helmet. I wonder if there was a condor fucking helmet.
Condor fucking helmets.
Those
They
weigh
had
a
the
lot
puppets for the
more.
babies.
Oh yeah, the puppies. Yeah.
They had to hand rear them because there weren't enough of parents to take care of them. So they
fans. This is where my mind is. I'm sorry. Like would you get whiplash from a 20-pound condor trying to fuck a helmet? And is it worth it to save the species? It's worth it to save the species.
I've just got that scene of David Attenborough. I forget which bird it was. That green bird on his head, just going to town.
Oh God, yes, love that one. It was an Australian or New Zealand bird. It was something. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's right. Wait a minute. Is that it right there? Right below you.
I think it might be.
I
think that might be. If you're watching, we've got a beautiful illustrated
number 8
background of animals from Australia, or the what the fuck is it country.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. Well, we love you. If you have answers to any of the questions, I'm not sure.
Or if you're saying what the fuck to what the fauna.
If you're saying what the fuck to what the fauna, you are right.
Yes.
You are most definitely correct, and we appreciate you all, and we love you all. Are we done?
I think we're done. I think that's it.
All
Until
right.
next time.
Mwah, my sign off. No gods, no masters. Mwah, live love. Bye.
Bye-bye.